love everyone. This is NainaMD right here in Beverly Hills. Welcome to my show, Fusion of Science and Beauty. And as you know, my passion is to bring anti-aging and regenerative medicine, integrative medicine in a very credible manner. We present evidence-based and many other ways to heal ourselves. Today, I've got a fabulous guest and another great show. So, one thing we always are wondering about is electromagnetic radiation, right? People talk about it. We know that there's MRIs when we go for a test. That's electromagnetic radiation. X-rays are actually X-ray radiation. So there is a difference. And now with so much of electromagnetic radiation emerging, you know, we kind of question things. Is it safe? Is it not? Conventional medicine is really not looked at this super deep in depth. And today I've got a person, Steve Miller. He has researched electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic fields for many, many years. And I'd like to introduce him as a fabulous guest, and he is going to tell you how he utilizes even this approach in some of the modalities that he utilizes to heal. So this is another amazing way to seek alternative treatments to heal ourselves back to wellness. Welcome, Steve. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So you're right here in Santa Monica.
Yes.
And I heard about you because I got interested in electromagnetic radiation. Elizabeth Pur does a lot of work. There's a book called EMF Freedom, and they talk about a lot of what the electromagnetic radiation is actually doing to our bodies. Mm-hmm. There's something about smart meters, which I like to you can explain further. Mm-hmm. But the public, I didn't know about this. I didn't really know what this was. I kind of like poo-pooed it. When I reached my cell phone, which I've got right here, my my iPhone, I kind of I'm still doing this. Mm-hmm. I'm not like utilizing that, and I want to know, is that work any better to reduce? Supposedly, what do these phones and other things have, and what is EMF? I don't think the audience really fully understands what's happening here with all this issue.
Well, EMF, or electromagnetic frequency, it's also called EMR, which is electromagnetic radiation.
So that can be interchanged?
I believe it could be interchanged quite readily. A long time ago in the 70s, there were people talking about something called electrosmog, and they were talking about dirty electricity. And those function on an analog bandwidth. These devices, anything with the word smart in it, typically operates on a microwave frequency, which is digital radiation. They're all on the same spectra of radiation, but as you move up the spectral chart, it moves up in danger. So if you were to have analog radiation here, you would have digital or microwave radiation, then you would have like X-ray radiation and nuclear radiation in that category. Wow. So it's along that same chain. So it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
Spectrum is the same. It's
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah. So in other words, you go to microwave, and then it goes to?
It goes to nuclear and X-ray, and it goes to gamma and different things like that. My path into researching this began in about 2009. I purchased a laptop, and I would write and surf the internet and different things. And what happened after about a year of using this laptop is I started to get a burning sensation in my left hand. And I thought, I didn't understand what it was, and I thought it was too young for arthritis. And I meditated on it, and I discovered that it was the electromagnetic radiation being generated by my laptop. So I researched it, and apparently there's a government standard for the US and Canada, which is for constant exposure is 2 milligauss.
Where do you get these meters from?
You can purchase them on Amazon, but they're different kinds, and you have to understand there's analog radiation and there's digital radiation. Analog radiation typically deals, according to SCE, analog radiation affects the body in terms of creating leukemias and bone cancers. Microwave radiation or digital radiation it's much harder to tie down because it's much more broad spectrum in its way. And there have been a lot of researchers that have looked into digital frequency radiation, and what it does is if you were to imagine your DNA to be like a string, what it does, it takes little snips at the threads of the string, and eventually the string will break. And depending on what your genetic predilection or disorder is, it'll create a syndrome based upon what your genetic weakness is.
Absolutely.
The other tangent to that, and this is, I'm going to go off topic for just a moment, is genetically modified organisms or GMO food. And I was watching the movie Bot, and they were talking about the 3 different kinds of GMO. And there's one type of GMO in particular called desired trait. From what I understand, what it is let's say you have an apple, and a desired trait is its redness. The more red and shiny it looks, the more likely you'll consume it.
So you're going to genetically modify the apple
to activate
that pigment or whatever.
The redness, which is great. However, when someone eats that apple and you eat it, that gene that's been modified has now been digested in the body, and it's going to start doing the same thing inside of you.
So we know that genetically modified foods can really be not as safe as the marketing or the food companies are purporting it to be.
Exactly. As I was saying about the desired trait activation, what happens where electromagnetic radiation can work in concert with GMO to create an illness or syndrome in a person is, let's say you consume that apple that has the desired trait activation gene within it, and you eat it. What happens is, if you were to scan your DNA, and if you had the cancer gene, but it was scheduled to remain dormant for your entire life, that gene would go in there and start activating, turning everything on. So it could be growth of something, it could be cancer, it could be different things like that. And so by being subjected to electromagnetic radiation and consuming GMO food, it's just like an imminent collapse of your DNA and the development of a disease.
And why are we not talking more about it? Or in your research, has conventional medicine picked up on this, or are they talking about it?
I can't say for sure. I mean, just from what I understand is that most hospitals, they dispense policy, and policy is based upon what the administrator determines is appropriate for their insurance coverage. So you're not going to get anything that is really out of the box. I think it's only in the alternative fields that you can actually find sensible, repeatable solutions and answers to these difficult questions that the establishment is not providing.
Yeah, and I know that there have been studies done where you take the exposure to electromagnetic frequency, EMF, and you can do PET scans and of the brain.
Right.
And these certain areas light up. And then you do EMFs, and then they go after, where let's say you're away from the EMF, and you repeat that PET scan, and there's a markable difference.
Right.
There's also, and conventional medicine really doesn't get into this, but there is a whole field, and many people have looked at this, live blood cell technology, where you're looking at real-time blood, okay? And in particular, so you look at the cells under this microscope that allows you to magnify it, but you're able to look at this. It's a special microscope because it's actually live blood.
Yeah,
that you're looking
on a dark field.
On a dark field. And you look at this, sometimes it's a clumping, very often it's a clumping pattern with repeated exposure of EMF. And after that, you can see that the cells are, not clumped. So there's many references, and do your own research, everyone. It's just look up EMF and research on EMF. You'll find amazing research. I know a couple of things with NIH. I know EMFfreedom.com is one of the things. And what have you found in doing your research?
I found many individuals
Studies,
and in my studies that that hold a lot of weight for me. And one gentleman in particular, his name is Barry Trower, and he's an older gentleman out of England, and he is ex-Ministry of Defense. And he worked for the Royal Navy, and he was hired by NATO to develop electromagnetic weapons systems.
Wow.
The theory being in the 80s that if there was a war between the United States and NATO with the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact, and the Russians and the Warsaw Pact came across the Fulda Gap into West Germany, and they didn't want to use nuclear weapons for population. They wanted to protect the people. They wanted to develop a secondary weapon system that would be effective at defeating the enemy, but basically leave the surroundings untouched. And one of the things were electromagnetic weapons. So Mr. Trower developed these systems and then he retired. And then sometime in the 90s, he started getting letters and requests, we need your help. These things are happening and we don't know where to turn to. And so he started researching what was going on, and he discovered that the frequencies being used for our cell phones, our smart meters, our Wi-Fi's, they're basically the weapon frequencies they developed for NATO in the 70s. These are weapon frequencies in our phones. They do maximum damage to DNA. The other side of it is that these frequencies are the best for penetrating walls, so they give you better cell reception. And what a lot of people don't know on their iPhones, that there is actually a page within the iPhone that gives you iPhone safety.
Yeah. So if you go, you have yours.
I have yours. You want to do yours or mine?
Yeah, you can do mine, okay? Because this is mine, because I wouldn't know. So I should be able to go. Okay, so I go. Where do I go?
Start at the front page.
Okay.
Okay. Then we want to go to the settings.
So we're going to go to settings, everyone. Okay, settings.
And then you want to go to general.
Okay, so we're going to go to
general.
Where's that at? General. Yep.
Okay.
General.
And then go to about.
Go to
about.
About.
Okay.
Here's about.
Okay. Flip down to the bottom.
I'm flipping down to the bottom.
And there should be a legal.
Legal.
Button.
Here's legal.
Right.
Okay. And what do I look under?
And then there's at the bottom one, it says RF exposure.
RF exposure. Very interesting.
Okay.
I would like to read it for everyone. iPhone has been tested and meets applicable limits for radio frequency RF exposure. Specific absorption rate, SAR, refers to the rate at which the body absorbs RF energy. The SAR limit is 1.6 watts per kilogram in countries.
And if I could just interrupt you just for a second. The whole SAR rating is based upon the radiation penetrating a 1 centimeter thick skull of an adult male American soldier.
Wow.
Okay, when you're dealing with microwave radiation, the less you weigh, the more you become irradiated. The thinner your skull. There are no safe levels for radiation exposure for children. There are none.
Oh my gosh.
The SAR rating.
So that's what the SAR rating is.
SAR rating is for a 180-pound adult male with a phone to his head, not a woman and not a child. There are no safe levels for children. So what I tell people about their phones, and they hand it off to their kids or their babies to play with, I ask them, how long does it take to microwave a French fry? 3 to 5 seconds. How long does it take to microwave a baked potato? 7 to 8 minutes. That's how you have to look at SAR. SAR are for adult males. It's not for children.
Wow. And then what is this? It says, depending on the dimension, additional SAR limits apply depending on the dimensions of the device. So meaning just depends on what size, because you might have more radiation, right? Mm-hmm. So to reduce exposure RF energy, use a hands-free option. So they tell you, they cover you with all of that. And then they say SAR values of the device are also available. And here, although this device has been tested to determine SAR in each band of operations, not all bands are available in all areas. Bands are dependent on your service provider's wireless. So basically, they're telling you right here that...
well, here's the thing, that when we went to the smartphones, away from the old cell phones, what allowed it to happen is something called a fractal antenna.
So you know what? I'm going to pause you right there because we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back, you guys, with this very interesting topic on EMF, electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic radiation. We'll be right back. NainaMD, Fusion of Science and Beauty, right here in Beverly Hills.
I have a fabulous guest.
Yeah, hi. Hi.
Introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Maria Conchita Alonso.
And you look fabulous.
Thank you.
Peter Nygaard, is hosting the party and believes in anti-aging, regenerative medicine. And so do I. I share that passion. And I want to know, what are you doing to keep yourself looking so beautiful?
Well, I do. I've been taking care of myself forever. I think you have to start when you're very young. My parents had a spa in 1969.
Wow.
When nobody
thought of spas.
Nothing. So I grew up in that industry. I changed creams, and I've been doing stem cells creams, which you drink it, and also creams.
Yes, and I
believe in the stem cells.
Yes, and that is really the way of the future. He's put so much money, Peter Nygaard, into the research and really spreading that word for bringing about stem cells and the right way to do it. There's obviously the right and wrong ways to do it.
Like always, as always, yes.
And what are two things that you absolutely have to, like, in your mind, that you have to eat every single day?
Eat
that you just ritually eat every single day?
I don't know what, I don't know.
Or are you variety? Do you just do a variety of like vegetables?
Yeah,
A variety of like vegetables and things?
I always have to have my breakfast, which is cafe latte with almond milk.
Yeah.
Always. That's something
Always.
that I need, my cafe latte when I wake up.
Yeah.
I would say that should be a must.
Yes.
And if I could eat Japanese food every day, I would be very happy, but I
Wow.
don't eat it every day.
And do you exercise every day?
When I'm in town, I try to go every day. Yes, I like it. I really do like it.
Yes. And you have such an aura of just calmness about you. Where do you find your peace?
When you start not caring about anything except just being yourself, I think that helps a lot. You know, you don't care about looking good or doing this or what.
It's just doing everything for yourself.
Self-confidence is the most important thing, and you have to have respect for yourself and not really care about what anybody says. It's you. You have to be happy. You don't care what about anything else.
You just heard it. That's her secret. I totally agree with her. And please tell us your address. Who is a designer?
It's not a known designer because.
A lot of people are doing very the designers that are very boutique. They're doing very boutique-like designers. That is the trend. By the way, I see on the Oscars, yes.
I didn't even know. This year I didn't want it. I had a few places to go to that were giving me dresses. This year I'm like, I did it all myself, but this jewelry is from Victoria, a friend of mine.
Beautiful.
VNG is the name of her company. Okay. And that's the only thing I got,
Okay, thank you so much, NainaMD.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is NainaMD, Fusion of Science and Beauty, right here in Beverly Hills. I've got a fabulous guest. We're back on the show with Steve Miller. He's talking about electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic radiation, and we were just talking about the RF exposure warnings that the Apple phone has put on, and about SAR limits and so forth.
Right.
So now getting into, continuing this discussion, what is it that, nothing is safe then? Basically, like how close proximity, and then if you use whatever the
earbud?
The earbuds,
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. Is that safe, or what is safe?
Okay, safe would be using a digital radiation meter. I've determined that.
Why don't? By the way, I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute. Why is there not a digital reading meter on the phone itself?
I think if people saw the amount of radiation it was generating, they wouldn't touch it.
Wow.
And they wouldn't buy it.
So tell us about what we can do in terms of.
Well, distance is your friend.
Yeah.
And also there's various products out there that will help either transmute or scrub the energy clean. What most people don't know is that the radiation that these phones emit is also known as something as light pressure. And there's actually a physics formula that you can plug in the amount of light pressure being generated by a device, and it'll give you the mass of the device required to absorb the amount of radiation being emitted. Mm-hmm. And I have a prototype device on the back of my phone that helps to scrub the energy. It's not a perfect solution. It's still in prototype form. But it's hard to say, and I don't want to come out with a firm solution until I have something that is absolutely repeatable, verified. Mm-hmm. The thing with the phones is because they operate on a fractal antenna in the different bands,
yeah.
Your radiation on 3G may be different from 4G, may be different from LTE.
Got it.
And there's another band frequency that's also on the electromagnetic spectrum called tetra. And that's been used for police forces. And
meaning how is that?
Their police departments, they use radio communications.
Uh-huh.
And they've been experimenting, and they brought out this one frequency called tetra band, which is, I believe it's in the 800 megahertz and above. And according to Mr. Trower, there's actually a paper that was released that shows the damage that is caused by tetra. It causes behavioral disorder as well as different kinds of illnesses, including cancer.
Do you emit? Is this frequency emitted?
Yes, it's emitted by the police tower, and it's also emitted by their radios and their radio equipment. So I feel really bad for a lot of the police officers, especially when they're in the sergeant's car with all the antennas coming out. I don't think everyone's ever, and no one's ever gone in there and actually measured how much radiation they're being exposed to.
And has anyone looked at the long-term studies of police officers and what kind of illnesses that they would end up with?
Not to my knowledge.
I haven't seen that data.
But again, Mr. Trower cited there's and I'll provide you with the information of the link. There is a paper that shows the dangers of tetra, and yet tetra is being sold to police departments, under some premise of improved communication.
Let me ask you something. Why is it that these phones get so hot? And how is that? Is that in any way detrimental to us when we see the heat that's generated? And especially they get super hot when in the sun, right? So can you explain that? Because flip phones never used to do that.
Well, again, I have to defer to the fractal antenna technology contained within the cell phone.
Okay.
When you're operating on a bandwidth, and if your signal isn't strong enough, the device will have to work harder. What most people don't know is that if you have low signal, the cell phone or the smartphone actively generates more radiation to try to grasp the signal.
Wow.
And so if you're in a building or in a parking garage and you only have one bar, that phone is more dangerous than when you're out in the open and you're showing 5 bars. Also, proximity to the cell towers as well. That's a danger point. According to Mr. Trower, if you can see a cell tower, it's damaging you.
Wow. And we're getting so many more and more cell towers every day.
It's not only cell towers, but jumping into a technology that's not even UL rated. Is the smart meter technology. It was pushed on.
Smart meter is not UL rated?
It's not UL rated. They found that they catch fire and explode if there's a backfeed.
So why are there no lawsuits on this?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But smart meters, how they function is that they're basically a microwave transmitter on the back of your house, and they're chained in groups of 500. Every group of 500 is chained to a collector or master meter.
Okay.
And what they don't tell you about the master meter is you could be getting up to 190,000 transmissions an hour from the other meters because they're talking to each other constantly. And there's another layer of it that hasn't even happened yet is as smart appliances come into our homes, the smart appliances are going to talk to the smart meter, and that's going to talk to the master collector, and that's going to bring that level up exponentially. So what people have on the back of their homes, and they don't even tell you, I've asked SCE where are these meters located in Santa Monica, and they refuse to divulge for privacy issues. Then I asked them, do you tell the people who have these master collectors on the back of their homes, do you tell them that they have one? And they said, no, we don't, due to privacy issues. So when you have a master collector, or if you're very far down
Why is it a privacy issue?
I don't know. You have to talk to their attorneys.
Wow.
So what happens is when you have a master collector on the back of a home or residence, you basically have an unlicensed cell tower.
Wow.
I believe there's a law or regulation that states that there's a warning you're entering a cell tower area. With smart meters, you do not. In my research also there was legislation written by John McCain, and it was the Telecommunications Act of 1996.
Right.
And it basically allows telecommunication companies to place a cell tower anywhere they please. They can put it on hospitals, they can put it by schools, they can put it anywhere they want, and municipalities cannot fight it. And what I've found is you'll find cell towers close to schools. In Santa Monica where I live, right next to Santa Monica High School where I attended a long time ago, there is a massive cell tower right next to the 10 freeway.
So you've got children with less brain volume, like their brains are not as developed, they're not developed, they're way less, and you've got a cell tower with increased exposure. That really makes a lot of sense.
And so what I'm told is that cell towers, they have a range of 300 miles. And yet we have cell tower after cell tower, and they're typically at intersections on the freeway where there's congestion, and they're all approximately at ground level.
So tell me a little bit about, okay, we've identified this problem. What Is there a grassroots movement that you know that's forming? Is there someone like a grassroots, even any kind of organizations that's starting to really get concerned? Because we really, as environmentalists, we look at everything else. I'm surprised that the environmentalists have not picked up on this, because it's something so near and dear, right? Even I can't manage without a cell phone. So what can we start to do as a society, as people on a grassroots level?
Well, first you have to understand the dangers involved, and you have to become aware and spread awareness. There's certain things you can do. I believe you can opt out of having a smart meter in the back of your home.
Yes.
The other thing that is very important to do is to either purchase the meters and scan your home, scan your car. Most people don't realize that.
And what kind of meters would we purchase?
You would want to have something that reads analog radiation as well as digital radiation.
Okay, all right. And those could be bought like on Amazon?
Amazon or eBay.
Okay.
I go to people's homes and offer that as well. Well, I'll come in, I'll do their reading, and I'll measure their automobile.
So how do people look you up?
I have a website called radsafer.com.
Please, that's
radsafer.com.
So that's radsafer, SAFER, radsafer.com. And how could they can get in touch with you through that website?
There's email and phone contact on the website, and I've got various products that are coming to market that'll help scrub the electricity.
Fabulous.
And make it a little safer. And I won't put my name to anything unless I can be absolutely 100% sure it does exactly what it says and it's meter verified. It's very important to me because I want to have as much
evidence-based and evidence-based.
Absolutely.
That's why I brought you on as a guest, because there's so many products out there. They're not evidence-based. They just say, oh, here's this energy healing or whatever, and there's just no evidence-based. You are all about that. Thank you so much for coming on my show. Please look him up. It's www.radsafer.com, radsafer.com. Steve Miller. I'm sure I'm going to be your first customer, because this is phenomenal information. And thank you again so much for being on the show. By the way, you're coming on to another show of mine because we're having another topic. He has more roles than one that he plays.
I wear many hats.
And he wears many hats.
Yeah.
And I'm so very thankful for having you come on the show. Thanks
Absolutely.
again.
Thank you, Doctor.
This has been NainaMD, Fusion of Science and Beauty, right here in Beverly Hills. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be right back again with a wonderful show next week.